Hello, everybody out there in YouTube land. Welcome to Something to Talk About, where I kind of have a surprise video, kinda. And yeah, uh, I'm excited for this one. So let's just do it. Hi, welcome to Something to Talk About. My name is Taco, and it's a place that I talk about Song of Ice and Fire stuff. It's not a character today. So, what this is kind of a continuation, let's say a bonus video, right? Let's say it's like a bonus features for my Lord's Guard series, right? So you guys already know what this is because you clicked it. But, this isn't a Lord's Guard, but it's kind of the same. It's me pitching a Kingsguard for somebody who never became a king, right? Spoilers. So, if you guys don't know, I covered north all the way to the reach of giving like a Lord's Guard to all these different Lords Paramount. That's not what this is. This is me doing it for Daemon Blackfyre. So what if Daemon Blackfyre won and had a Kingsguard afterwards? The Black Dragon Knights. So this was a request by Lord Taron. You even told me how to say it once. I think it's Taron. Lord Taron of Ice and Fire on my one of my comments. And then, of course, Aegor Bittersteel, another huge commenter who loves the Blackfyres, jumped on it like, yeah, no, do this too. So he asked me, hey, why don't you do one of your Kingsguard videos but for House Blackfyre? I'm like, that's fantastic. That's a really good idea. And then, of course, Aegor Bittersteel is like, yeah, do that. So here I am. I'm gonna. And also, I'm filming this kind of out of order. The next like 2 or 3 videos that I'll be putting on Tuesdays, I filmed already, right? Like, so I'm filming this and putting it out right away, so it still is kind of lumped in with my Lord's Guard stuff, but before I move on to kind of the next thing I'm going to be doing on Tuesdays, which is going back to my what's the difference? Let's talk about the difference series. So that will be coming back next week. We good? All right, that's enough, man. What is this? I already said, just like all my videos, I don't edit. I also feel, I like the feel of me talking to you with all the imperfections and a tad of improv. This is kind of a bonus video in my Lord's Guard series. I have now given all Lord Paramounts their own Kingsguard. Unlike that series, in this scenario, I will be treating the Blackfyre Rebellion as if it was a massive success. All deaths of important players on the Blackfyre side in the red gas field somehow didn't happen, and afterwards, Deamon took his throne and built a Kingsguard. This stemmed from a comment from Lord Taron of Ice and Fire, an enthusiastic supporter and enthusiastic support from Aegor Bittersteel, which I already said. I forgot I put it in the thing. All right, so the way I'm treating it is if they are mentioned as being supporters of Daemon Blackfyre, makes it eligible. And then I'm also kind of got some kind of different one in here that you guys will like who's not really a supporter, but you'll see what I'm saying. So they had to be alive at the time, okay? And even if they died at the red grass field, in my head, like the Raven's Teeth for some reason didn't show up, or maybe they got defeated before they could raid arrows on and kill everybody. So if they're mentioned to be killed at the red grass field, it doesn't matter. Okay. For some reason, it went a complete different way, right? I don't have like a a specific butterfly that has to die and then everything changed. No. Just for some reason, all his supporters that I'm gonna bring brought up didn't die at the red grass field, and neither did Daemon Blackfyre. So this is like a total Blackfyre success, and then he builds a Kingsguard. So let's go right into it. One more thing, I just lied. We're not gonna go right into it. One more thing. So most of these come from Sir Eustice Osgrey, specifically giving me names. In one of his speeches, he brings up everyone who supported him as in the houses, and then also names of knights that supported Daemon. So I looked at those, kind of picked the ones that I thought made the most sense as being Kingsguard, And then also I went through all the names that he's mentioned as they supported them. And then I looked for characters that are mentioned at that time that would make sense, like age-wise, marriage-wise, not the heir, so on and so forth, like I usually do, right? So this is following normal Kingsguard rules. They have to give up their inheritance. They probably have to be knights, not always, of course, but there's the Hound, I guess. But and then that, right? So yeah. So most of it's going through those two sources. A lot of this was from Storm of Sword, or the Sworn Sword. Got most of my information from, and then just kind of World of Ice and Fire and other stuff that kind of talked about that time, and I was like, oh, this guy supported. So, anyways, we don't know a lot about these characters because unlike the main book, these guys are all from way back in the day. So I didn't have a lot to pick from, but I still think I did pretty good. So enough chitter chatter. Let's get at her. Ambrose Butterwell's second son. See, I don't even have this guy's name. But whatever his name is, I got. This is a weird one. But we know Ambrose was playing both sides and had his eldest son fighting for Taron II and his second son on the Blackfyre side. So following that, the Blackfyres won, Ambrose having lots of influence, right? Because I think he was a member of the Small Council. I did a whole video for him. It is possible that whoever his second son was would get the honor of a White Cloak if they wanted it. Plus, he's the second son. I'm assuming the first son didn't die at Blackfyre, or at the Redgrass Field, right? So that's my first pitch: is Ambrose Butterwell's son. We don't even know his name. We have names. Yeah, no, the rest of them I had to make sure, but yeah, the rest of them have names. All right, so second guy, Rob Reyne, one of the knights mentioned by Eustice Osgrey, which I talked about. Out of that small list, I think Rob Reyne is a likely candidate for a White Cloak due to the strength of House Reyne at the time, and he is not stated to be the heir of the house. He might be the heir of the house, but the two sentences we got about him, he's not. It just says a knight of House Reyne. And he was considered one of the finest knights of his day. I think he's a shoo-in. And it's cool to toss in another house that later got extinct, right? Like, I think it's cool to, what list am I going to have a Reyne on, right? Not to rain on your parade. No? Okay, whatever. Aubrey Ambrose. So another one of the knights mentioned by Eustace Osgrey. Just like Rob, he is considered a great knight of his time. House Ambrose is a strong house from the Reach and a very good house to, bestow that honor of, right? Like, if you want powerful houses to feel honored by you naming people from the Kingsguard, House Ambrose is a really good house to honor. So, yeah, this next one is finally not one from that Eustace brought up, and this one's a little goofy, but I love it. All right, and you guys might hate it, but we'll see. So, Otho Bracken, the Brute of Bracken. This one might be a small stretch, but we know House Bracken supported House Blackfyre. I mean, Agor Rivers is literally a Bracken, right? The Redgrass Field was in year, so the big battle of the first Blackfyre Rebellion was in year 196, and we know that the Brute of Bracken was a known tourney knight when he accidentally, quotation marks, killed Quentin Blackfyre during a tourney at King's Landing 10 years later in 206. So he might have been too young to join the Kingsguard right away, or he might have been the perfect age. Or maybe he joins later on, if you guys are considering that valid. If not, if it has to be this is his first Kingsguard right after. He could have been late 20s during the time of the tourney at King's Landing where he accidentally kills Quentin Blackwood. Or in his, then it would be like in his 30s in Ashford Meadow. We don't hear anything about his age. We just know that he's kind of like a very renowned knight, famous for his strength and all this stuff, right? And he's kind of a butt. He's kind of a violent butt. Violent butts. So do we know that he would have been old enough? I think if he could have been late 30s by then, or late 20s, early 30s. I think we could have put him in at 196 at least late teens, early 20s, which made him possible to join, not early teens, of course, but late teens, possible to join the Kingsguard. Also, if he's a big dude, maybe he was a big dude early on, right? Okay. Where am I? At the time of joining, he would, okay. At the time of joining, he would not have been the heir, so he is later on, but that sense his older son, or his older brother doesn't die until 211, so yeah, this is kind of a stretch, but the Brood of Bracken is a fan favorite, yeah, so if somebody wants to say in the comments, oh, but he's the heir, he wouldn't have been in 296 during the first Blackfyre Rebellion, right? He wouldn't have been. He doesn't become the heir until 211, way later, I believe during the Great Spring Sickness. I might be wrong on that, but so way later he is. But as of this time, we don't know his age, so he might not fit. But come on, it's the Brood of Bracken. He's from House Bracken, which is really big on supporting Blackfyres, and you know, like, I love him. So yeah, that's my biggest stretch. All right, let's keep going. Harold Osgrey. Back to Eustice. All right. He lost like 3 of his sons at the battle. Not like 3, but like, oh, he lost like all 3 of his sons. He did lose all 3 of his sons. I don't know why I added that, like, at the Battle of Redgrass Field. And since Eustace is like the Blackfyre shill, he of course would put a son, or would push a son to become a Kingsguard. And if they won a battle, and all of his sons somehow lived, Harold is the youngest son. That makes the most sense. He's not a knight. He's not the heir. And the actual youngest son was just 12. I don't know why I worded it this way. So Harold is there. So Harold, it is. Here's your cloak. Okay, so his older brother would have been the heir, right? Harold is already a knight. And his youngest son was 12 and a squire, or his youngest brother. Did I say it all wrong? All right. So his oldest brother would have been the heir, so he wouldn't have got it, right? Harold is right in the middle, and then his youngest is 12, right? And a squire, so his youngest brother. So he would have been perfect right in the middle, not an heir and a knight. He's strong enough. I like it. I like having an Osgrey because Eustace, like, literally is like the Deamon should have won guy in the universe, right? One of them. Okay, this next one's also a stretch, but you're either going to love this one or hate this one. I love it. I think it's great. Gawain Corbrey, hear me out, right? Don't go, but they fought. I know all the lore too, okay? Don't start yelling. Don't start typing all the lore at me. I know the lore as well. Wait for me to explain this. Calm down. All right. This is definitely my hardest pitch. Okay, hear me out. Gawain was a member of the Targaryen Kingsguard during the Battle of the Redgrass Field, and he has a super epic fight with Daemon Blackfyre. The sword Blackfyre versus the Corbrey sword, Lady Forlorn. So everybody talks about it. It's basically a lightsaber fight in the middle of this battle, right? It like goes on forever. Everybody talks about how epic it was. It was like Vader versus Obi-Wan, like right in the middle of the fight, right? So after the fight, Daemon calls for his own maester to get Gawain some help, just for Bloodraven's arrows to rain on everything. I think if you minus the arrows and the Blackfyres then move on to win, there is a very good chance that this goes down the exact way that Robert Baratheon saving Barristan and Selmy goes down. They both call for their maesters, right? Gawain Corbrey was a really loved knight, just like Barristan Selmy. He could have saved him out of honor and then later let him join the Kingsguard. There is a line about how he was blind after the fight, but that could just mean temporarily. I don't know. I dig it. So they do say he is wounded and blinded from the fight, but that could have just been like hit, blood in his eyes. I think if his eyes were cut out, I think they would have stated that. So I don't know. You could say there's no way they're going to let him in, but I do really want a Targaryen Kingsguard to move over, really legitimize the Kingsguard for like House Blackfyre. Like it even happens when the Baratheons take over after Robert's Rebellion. A couple Kingsguard, Jaime, Barristan, move over, right? So it like legitimizes the rule a little more of like the court not fully changing. Does that make sense? So the Kingsguard not fully changing too. So like Gawain being moved over, and I love the comparison between Barristan Selmy like getting wounded during the Battle of the Trident, and then Barristan calling, or not Barristan, Robert calling for his own maester. And it's literally worded that like Deamon does that same thing. After this big epic fight, he goes, get him some protection. I don't want him to die. So he might, like, now after this pitch, you might be saying, well, why isn't he Lord Commander? No, there's a way better Lord Commander. But I do love this, like, I don't know. I love it. I'm going to stop saying that. But that's my reasoning. If you're like, no way Wayne Corbrey would have made it in. I can't, it can't all just be people from Sir Eustace's list, right? I have to think outside the box. And this is outside the box. I love it. All right. The Lord Commander is not outside the box. This is very obvious. If you know anything about this time during the A Song of Ice and Fire lore, you know who the Lord Commander is. It's freaking Quentin Ball. Duh. He is the Fireball. He's the Lord Commander. Well, duh, it had to be. He was the only person on the list that was actually promised a place on the Kingsguard by Daemon and Aegor. They said, like, if you fight for us, you'll get a place on the Kingsguard. So for those who do not know, Quentin Ball, known as Fireball, was a knight from House Ball, and he was one of the key supporters for Daemon Blackfyre during the first Blackfyre Rebellion, and he was a master at arms at the Red Keep. Quentin was red-haired with a fiery temper, hence the moniker Fireball. He was one of the greatest knights of his day. Besides Gawain, he is the only logical pick as Lord Commander. He is a good fighter, well-known, and has political friends. He's just the perfect Lord Commander. I stand by this list. Okay, you could probably move around some of the younger guys or some of the like higher up guys that I mentioned right away. You can look at Sir Eustace's list and kind of throw anybody in there and take out, take out Butterworth's kid, take out Ambrose, the guy from House Ambrose, and then Rob Reyne. You can pull them out and add in like Red Tusk, and there's all these other guys. I'm not going to remember them right now, but there's like a list of knights that Eustace says you can put any of them in there if it makes you happy. But the three that I will stand on that I had to pitch, I think Bracken is a great choice. And then, of course, I'm really standing by Gawain Corbrey. And then, of course, Fireball had to be Lord Commander. So for the two people that asked for this video, I hope you enjoyed it. For everybody else who just happened to watch it too, hey, thanks for watching. And I hope you liked it too. And I hope you guys agree. Your list can be very different. You can tell me I'm wrong. I don't need to be right. This is just an opinion, right? Based on the lore of A Song of Ice and Fire. I want to hear your opinion. Who do you think would be on it? Okay, and please remember, this is my opinion. You don't have to get mad about it. I'm not writing the book, I'm not going back, calling George, all right, man, let's change the past. Blackfyre's won, rewrite all the books. And this has, I'm not ruining the lore, is what I'm saying. It's just a thought, just an opinion. I got Aegor Bitter still really excited there when I said, we're going to go back and the Blackfyres are going to win instead. He went, huh? All right. Thank you guys for watching. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this. Peace.